What's up, guys? This is Mikey, your host for the podcast, Photos by Mikey podcast. I have a special guest today, Miss Jackie Ceja. Did I say that correctly?
Yes, you did.
Awesome. Welcome, Jackie.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I'm super excited.
Yeah, so today we're actually in her loft called the Creative Loft.
Yes.
Which is located in downtown Riverside. But, let me have Jackie kind of introduce herself and kind of tell about the space that we're in today.
Yeah, well, hi guys. I'm Jackie. So I'm a brand photographer here in downtown Riverside. I like to say Southern California because I work all throughout Southern California. I got started with photography in early 2017. I feel like I've been doing photography since high school, but I officially started it as a business in early 2017. And I recently just opened the studio, literally in May. So I actually found this studio because I rented it myself for a client for a branding session last November. So November of 2021. I loved it. And I came back in January and I met the owner and she's like, I'm getting rid of it. Do you want it? And I'm like, I'm not too sure. So April came around. She's like, I really need to find out if you want this space. So we thought about it and we're like, you know what? Like, let's just do it. Let's jump on it. We were super scared, honestly, super scared. Had no idea how to run a studio. Obviously, we had never done that before. And so we jumped all in, and I mean me and my husband and our family. And so I officially got the keys on May 1st. So we've been running the studio for 6 months now.
Wow. So let me actually take it all the way back though. So how did you get started with photography?
Yeah, so that's a great question.
Yeah.
So I actually got started like in entrepreneurship when I was 18. So I have always had jobs, but I got started in network marketing. So I don't know if not everyone knows that term. Do you know what that term is?
Hey, elaborate for us.
So some people say that it's like a pyramid scheme, like when you join certain companies and you sell products, but that's actually how I got started. And that's how I learned everything that I know now about marketing, sales, business, social media. So essentially I got started on social media when Instagram came out. So more than 10 years ago. And I was actually a Beachbody coach. So I used to sell health and fitness programs, and I've always been into health and fitness.
Right.
So if you're listening, maybe someone has heard of the company called Beachbody. So they sell fitness programs that you can do at home. And so I got started doing that, and I did that for 5.5 years. And so Instagram was really growing back in like 2010, 2011. And I really wanted to grow my platform. So I was on this weight loss journey. And so I needed really good pictures to like stand out and grow on Instagram. And so, of course, we were always taking iPhone pictures. But I think it was like 2016. My son was already 1 year. We have 2 kids. And so my son was 1. And we wanted a family camera or a camera to use for like family pictures. And so essentially my first camera was a family purchase. Like we were supposed to just take pictures, but then my husband started taking pictures of me and I'm like, oh, take better pictures for social media. And he did. And honestly, like he likes to tell everyone that I was not into photography. Like I didn't want to start a business, but he was actually the photographer first. I was a bad girl. We used to go to we started off with sessions and I would just go with him and he learned editing, like shooting, like everything. And I was like not into it at all. I was super focused on my Beachbody business. So I was growing online and I was doing, I was running like virtual like health and fitness groups. And so that's kind of how I got started. But he started doing sessions and I would always go with him. And so I started to see, we weren't even charging like our first few sessions. He was just doing it for fun. And I always had like this business mindset and I was like, you know what, we could be making money for this. And I'm like, why don't we start charging people? Let's just start a business. And he's like, are you sure? And I'm like, look, I already have the following at that point. I've grown several Instagram accounts, but the one that is my personal account right now, at one point, that one was like over 10,000 followers.
Wow.
But it was all like people following me for like my health and fitness journey. I lost 50 pounds like twice and like in a natural way. And so I grew up this following. I was like, I have this following. A lot of them, are local. Like I'm really good at social media. Like I can do this. Like, I'll learn the photography stuff later, but I was always very like business minded first. And we're like, all right, let's just do this. And I literally took over. I started teaching myself. Like we both learned together how to shoot manual and how to use a camera. And I like dove in. I started taking courses back in like early, like January, February 2017. And so I think by that summer we were officially like, we're photographers. We created an Instagram account, started the business. And he likes to tell people that I took over because he essentially stopped working with me. He did do weddings with me as well, but I honestly just took over.
Oh, wow.
And so now he doesn't shoot anymore. If I'm ever working, he's watching the kids. So that's how we got started. So I got started with like families, senior sessions, pretty much like all the portraits you can think of, and weddings. I didn't actually start personal branding until 2018. I feel like now it's not super new, but back then, like 2017, 2018, like it wasn't really a big thing. I think commercial photography was big and like headshots, but not personal branding, not what you see on social media now in 2022. So I honestly even took a course. Like I took a course back in 2018 to really teach myself like how to do branding.
Right.
And I actually had one of my clients come to me who I had done a family session for. She's like, I need headshots and like really cute pictures for social media. And I was like, I think that's called personal branding. And so I did my research, found someone that had been doing it on the East Coast. She still shoots till this day. Her name's Angie. And I took her course. And that's how I got started with personal branding and photography in general.
That's awesome. I mean, do you still do weddings from time to time?
No.
Or not anymore?
So my last wedding was last November, I think. And my last few weddings that I did last year, I can't even remember. I think I had like 3 or 4. They were reschedules from 2020. They just kept rescheduling. But I will say I've had one of my personal brand clients. She recently reached out and she's like, I would love if you did my wedding pictures. And now it's really cool to be in a point in my business where like I can pick and choose and I can say, you know what? Like I'd be more than happy to like do that for you. And it would be a very small, intimate wedding here in downtown Riverside. She would probably have like less than 50 guests. But she's a realtor. She's one of my realtor clients. And she saw my work and she's like, do you do weddings? And I'm like, well, I used to. And so I showed her my past work and she fell in love. And so, I'd be open to it, you know, and it's really, it's honestly like for my clients, like, you know, like you start working with clients as a family, or maybe they get pregnant or they have events and they want you for everything.
Right, exactly.
And I really feel like if you're a really great photographer, you know how to shoot anything.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, especially when you do weddings. I mean, you're doing families, details, pretty much everything, right?
So I'd be open to it, you know, as long as my schedule allows for it. And if it's someone that I've worked with before, I'd be open to probably doing it again. So
that's awesome. Let's hear about how you actually connected with the studio, because I think it's pretty interesting. So tell us a little bit about like how you found this space and then how you changed the space when you decided to actually make it your own space.
Okay, so for the past, you know, so in 2018, I don't know if that's 3 or 4 years, I have been driving all over through Southern California trying to find the best studios for my clients. And so we found downtown LA has amazing studios. If you guys have been, if you're a photographer watching, you know, LA is like the place to be. It's just like a city. It's a huge city and they have like thousands of studios to offer. And so I didn't mind. So we were just driving all the time. But a lot of my clients, they're like, oh, like, you know, I've got kids, like I want branding, but I don't want to drive to LA.
Right.
Or I don't want to drive to OC, it's too far, or just traffic. And I'm like, I struggled to find places that matched my style. So my style is primarily light and airy. It's pretty much always been light and airy.
Right. I'm
obsessed with white. White is actually one of my favorite colors. Go figure. That's why the studio is white. I actually, when I named the studio, I wanted to somehow incorporate white in there. A white studio, but my husband's like, no, that's too corny. That's too cheesy. And so, okay, so back to the story. So I had a client, she's a health and fitness coach, and she wanted, of course, something like, you know, like a lofty type vibe. And I'm like, man, it's going to be hard to find. I went to Handy Dandy Pier Space and I found this space, here in downtown Riverside. And I was like, she's in Menifee. And I'm like, this is perfect. Like, we'll do it during the day. You'll be back on time to pick up your kids from school. And so I think this was like on page 3 on Pier Space, but I will say this studio was primarily strictly a boudoir studio. So when I found it, there was a bed and like a couch and just like all this like stuff for boudoir, you know, so it's very different than what I shoot. And I'm like, all I need is white walls and I'll make it work. And we came in and you would never know it was a boudoir studio. Wow. So we shot, like she brought weights in and she did like, you know, like she's a health and fitness coach. Like you can tell she's a health and fitness coach. So that's how I found the space on Pier Space. So that was back in November of last year, 2021. And then I'm like, you know what? Like, I had this next round of branding minis. So I do mini sessions for branding. And so I was like, this space would be perfect. It's local for me too. I'm a mom. And so, I'm like, I'm just going to use the space again. They didn't have a ton of furniture, but we brought in like props. And they had one desk and like one cute little chair. I was like, I'll make it work for branding.
Perfect.
And I think I filled it with like 5 people that came in for branding in January. And I actually ran into the owner when she was cleaning up. And I arrived like 10 minutes early, and she's like, hi, she introduced herself. And she's like, what are you shooting today? And I'm like, branding. She's like, really? She's like, that's so cool. Cause she's a boudoir photographer, the one that owned the studio. And I don't know what made her want, she's like, you know, I might be interested in subleasing it. Like, I don't use it too much. Like, it gets rented, but my primary studio is like in a different city. Would you be interested? And I was like, no, like, you know, honestly at that point, like it was just not on my radar. It was not on my business plan to like open a studio.
Right.
And so, you know, obviously it got me thinking, and I went home, told my husband, I'm like, oh, so this, you know, the owner was like, do you want, like, are you interested in subleasing? She didn't say like fully take on like the studio. I'm like, I don't know, that'd be kind of complicated, subleasing. I've never done anything like that before. And I think by March, she's like, I'm getting rid of it. Like, do you want it? She's like, we just decided to like, we're completely getting rid of it. She's like, there is a wait list, but like, I wanted to reach out to you first. And I'm like, oh, okay. So I'm like, there, you know, I felt like, I did feel special, but I feel like it was maybe part of my calling in a way, you know, like she felt compelled that like she had to tell me first, even though there was a little bit of a wait list. Just people that were interested in using this space. This actually used to be a yoga studio before the boudoir studio. So the yoga studio owner was actually here for a few years. Unfortunately, she had to close, I think, early pandemic. So she's like, you know, it's up to you. And by mid-April, I was like, we decided, we're like, all right, let's go all in. My husband like literally pushed me. I was like freaking out. I was like, we've never done this before. Like, I don't have anyone to look to ask questions. I did have one person, we can talk about that too. But it was really just like, and honestly, the past owner, she's so sweet. She's a boudoir photographer. We still talk. Her and her associate shooter or photographer answered so many of my questions, and they were honestly like sweethearts. Like, they literally did not hold anything back. Her husband was like, you know, helping with the studio too, and they literally like helped me so much. Like, and I was like, they didn't have to do that. They literally were like, here's this, here's that. Like, this is what we learned. Like, you know, this is what worked for us on Peerspace. And I was like, oh my gosh, like they literally just like handed me like everything. And I'm so grateful to this day, because I still talk to them, and I feel like they're kind of like friends now. I don't get to see them often. Last time I saw them was when they essentially handed off the studio to me. But that's how we came about like the studio. So, you know, she presented the opportunity to me. We thought about it. And so I signed the lease like mid-April, got my keys May 1st. And I launched like when I got my keys. I prepared myself. I knew I wanted to have a big splashy launch. Like, I love, you know, social media. And so like I knew what to do. Like, I built up the hype. I really did. I was like, if I'm going to do this, like I'm going to go all in. And I built up the hype on my following, and, you know, I teased them. I'm like, something's coming, something's coming. And nobody knew. I think I had a few people that like kind of had in mind, they, you know, I put like a question box in my stories and like a studio. And so I built up the hype. So when I launched, like it was a big launch. Like, people were so excited. And I was actually working on my Peerspace listing back in April. Like honestly, between those 2 weeks from like when I like signed the lease to like, okay, we're doing this, like May 1st, I wanted to make sure on May 1st when I launched on social media, I knew it was gonna get a lot of buzz. My Peerspace listing was live. So people started booking immediately.
Already, wow.
So, you know, I feel like I did have strategy.
That's awesome.
And so, yeah, that's how I came about the studio. So as far as the name, like the name of the studio, of course it's white. It's a loft. It has beautiful lighting. I knew I wanted to rent this space out for other people because I struggled as a photographer in the Inland Empire to find a space like this that matched my style, my style, because I feel like there's a lot of, you know, moody photographers, and like I have nothing against that, but I feel like it was just so hard to find something that complemented us light and airy photographers. And so when I found the space, I knew I didn't want to just keep it to myself. I wanted to really like have it be for other creatives. And the cool thing is that I didn't want to just say only photographers. So we've had content creators come in here, like they're coming in here to record courses, record YouTube videos. Today's the first time that we're recording a podcast episode in the studio. I've had people that are like big TikTokers, just content creators, like they're not even photographers. So they're essentially, I feel like creatives, right? You know, they're creative business owners. So I kept thinking, I want people that are creative, like in their life, in their business, to come here. So Obviously I like the word loft. It feels very high end, upscale. And so we're like, okay, the white loft, like, no, my husband's like, that's kind of cheesy. Yeah. And so I'm like, you know what? I want to work with creatives. Why don't we name it the Creative Loft?
Right.
And I feel like it attracts more than just photographers because of the term, creative. And people love the word loft. So that's how we came up with the name of the studio.
I think it's super smart. I know your brand is white, but yes. I think it's very neutral. So anybody can come in here and kind of make it their own space, right? I mean, you could do, you've done family sessions here. I mean, you said brand sessions,
maternity, ton of maternity. Wow. Honestly, at this point, we've had newborn sessions, maternity, boudoir. I have a ton of boudoir photographers. If you guys are watching this, they love my studio.
You can't see it, but I'll probably post it on the
Yes, so we do have a bed. And it's funny because a lot of this stuff, well, not a lot, a few things in here, big pieces, the previous owner sold to me. She's like, you know what, do you want it? And so there's a bed. She sold me the mirror. She sold like the sheer curtains, like were already up. She's like, I don't even want to take them down. Do you want them? I was like, yeah. The gray couch. I don't know if you guys can see it. There's a gray couch in here. She sold that to me too. She's like, the boudoir photographers that are renting it right now from her, she's like, they love this. And I was like, you know what? Let's just keep doing what's working. Why would I take that away from them? Right. And I'll just work around it. And so I wanted to make sure when I started bringing in pieces, furniture pieces and decor, I wanted it to be neutral and just like very versatile. And I wanted people to like kind of just like everyone to be able to use it in a way. We do have backdrops as well. It's growing our colors, and photographers, like if they want something specific, like right now it's like the holiday season. We do have a holiday setup, but they'll bring in their own things. Right. And I'm more than I welcome that. Like bring your own things, like balloon garlands, whatever it is. People bring in confetti, like whatever they want. Like as long as they like take care of the studio and clean it up, like we're okay with it. So we've had probably a little bit of everything by now. We haven't had like, I've seen other studios where they like people like film like small commercials or like things like that. But for the most part, I feel like at this point we've had a little bit of everything already.
That's
except
awesome.
for that. Yeah.
That's awesome. So let me ask you this. Since you opened up back in May, have you had any like challenges or obstacles that you ran into so far?
Yes. I feel like, gosh, I don't know. It's been so good, but like there's pros and cons to everything. Right. And a lot of things have had to change in our family because of where we live. I'm not super close. I'm not like 5-10 minutes, not even 20 minutes because of traffic. And so our challenges have been the first few times we rented the studio. Oh my gosh. Like someone took off with the key. We have a lockbox. Oh my goodness. And so like, where I live, like I don't live too far, but with traffic, it could be 30-40 minutes. And so if a photographer's here, she rented the studio and she has a client, they're having to wait for me to like drive like as fast as I can, as safely to come open the studio. Like we've had situations where like people accidentally took the keys with them. I didn't have a backup. That was a learning experience right away. My lockbox one time was moved without telling me, like the landlord and the property manager, like they forgot that I had one. And so I had bookings that day. We had to like drop what we were doing again on a family day, rush here during like traffic. I had to pay for the client's time because she was upset that it took 40 minutes for me to get here. Learning experiences, right? And so now we have backups in place. If people, cause I have like I don't know what's the term for that, but like I don't have to be here. So we have a system set up in place where like you can rent the studio and you can walk in and lock up. And I love that. I didn't want to have to be here for every session because we have several businesses and, I don't live too close and I have 2 kids. They're school aged. They're in sports. They have all kinds of things. So I can't be here all the time, especially on the weekends. So those were like some of the challenges that I've had. I think those were like the only challenges that I can
so far.
So far, I'm trying to think of like the keys situation. I've had a few things like get broken, but it comes with like the territory. And I was expecting, things to happen. Stuff happens, especially when photographers are working with like young children. But it's in the grand scheme of things, like I've had so many more good things happen and there's so many more pros than there is cons. I feel like after 6 months, we finally have a really good system in place in terms of like the keys, the situation. I have a studio assistant now. We have someone that lives in the area as well that helps me clean. She's local. And so like I've slowly like outsourced things, and
that's
it's
great.
helped me, you know, because one of my biggest priorities is still like being a mom first, and then a business owner. As much as I love business, like I'm like obsessed with entrepreneurship. Like my values, like my core values is like being a mom first. And that's why I quit my job, so I could have flexibility and really be there for my kids. So just setting boundaries in place and outsourcing to people that can help us. So
that's awesome. Let me ask you about the assistant. So has that really helped you in terms of managing this space better for you?
Yeah, it has. So I am still the person that takes all the bookings. I'm early into next year. I think I want her to take over, but I actually still shoot here a lot myself. So a lot of my clients still come here. So and as far as like being a studio assistant, like she will help me if I'm shooting on location or in the studio. I actually have I have a primary assistant and then a secondary if the primary can't make it. So they help me during my shoots with my client work. She's helped me with editing, and she's helped me clean the studio, manage the studio. The only thing she hasn't really done is like accept the bookings and things like that. But I do want to essentially outsource that to her early next year. And it's going to be awesome because she'll be like taking over a lot of like the work.
Right. A lot of the admin stuff. Right?
Yes, a lot of the admin work and client communication. I would love to like even outsource possibly like the studio Instagram account. Like just recently I really like got energized to like really grow that because I have several accounts and several businesses, and it's it's like super like energy draining. As much as I love social media, it is very draining to create really great content. And I just want to get the word out for the studio. And so like I've been putting in more work, and it's growing, and we did like this giveaway that really grew the account. And like I really just want a lot, like every week I find people find the account and they're like, I didn't even know the studio existed. Yep. So I want to like let everyone know, as many people as we can in the IE, that we have this space in downtown Riverside. A lot of people in the IE like know downtown Riverside. Right. It's very popular. We're super close to the Mission Inn hotel. So looking into next year, I want to fully like outsource like the booking, the admin work, and like the social media of the account.
That's awesome. In terms of next year, are you gonna kind of keep the same like style, or in terms of the furniture, or are you gonna kind of keep it the same? What's like your thoughts for next year?
I love that boudoir photographers can rent my studio, but I just don't love. I'm gonna be super honest with you guys. Like, I just think honesty is the best policy. I don't love the bed. I don't need the bed for branding. Right. I would love to get rid of it. I would love to build like a faux kitchen and have like, even couples, like they like, I've had, wedding photographers come in and they'll do couple sessions, and like the couch is cute and the chairs, they'll do some portraits with like backdrops and stuff. Like more editorial work. And, sometimes they'll use a bed, but I'm like, I've seen really like in-home lifestyle shoots with like a faux kitchen, and even for my branding work, kitchens are used a lot. Like if we typically work like in a like rented home, we use the kitchen a lot for like kitchen shots, like realtors and health and fitness coaches, lifestyle brands. Like they love the kitchen, they're working at the kitchen or they're like making their cocktail or their coffee or whatever. So I have considered building like a faux kitchen. I would absolutely love to completely change the style next year. I really want more of a modern vibe. Right. There's a few studios in downtown LA that I really look up to. I don't know if you've heard of the company I think it's called CB2.
CB2, no, I haven't heard of it.
So they just have really modern furniture. Yeah. And I honestly, like when I got the studio, I knew I wanted it to be like high-end, like upscale. Right. I wanted it to look really nice. Right. Like I don't want it to be like, I just want to take it to the next level. Yeah, absolutely. We want accent walls. So we do have things in the works. And so we do want to change things up for next year.
That's awesome. So let me ask you about your branding business. Because I really believe like branding is super important for any business, right? It tells the clients who you are, your style, and what kind of clients you're looking for. So you do branding sessions here, and let's kind of talk about that. Like, how long have you been doing branding, like for clients?
So I started personal branding in 2018. So I had a client who was first my family like portrait client. So I did family pictures for her, and I don't know what it was. Like she just like reached out to me. She's like, hey, like I need like headshots and like a lifestyle session. So people call it lifestyle sessions, but it's really more than just a lifestyle session. It's personal branding. And so personal means like you have a personal brand. So you're not this big brand like Nike, or like you don't even know the face of the like who the CEO of Nike is, right? Because that's their brand. But a personal brand is like service providers like us, right? We offer a service and we have a personal brand, so people know who we are. And she's like, I need like headshots and like things, like she was a hair and makeup artist. And she's like, I just want people to like know what I do. I'm like, oh, like I can figure it out, you know? And so we shot the session at her studio. She had a studio at Sola Salons in, I think it was Marietta.
Oh, I've heard of that. Okay.
So people rent those little studios, like hair and makeup artists, lash artists, like hairstylists.
Yep.
And she's like, just come here. And then after that, we went to like a park and we did like, you know, like sunset portraits, like headshots. She wanted that look. And I was like, this was really fun. Like, I really like this. I'm like, I should learn how to get better at this. So I went to Handy Dandy Instagram and I just started researching, and I found someone that had a course for personal branding. So I don't know. I think it started kind of growing 2017, 2018 is when I took the course. 2019 is when I went full force. But I was still doing everything. Right. Honestly, I was doing weddings, portraits, and then I added branding to my belt. And I fell in love with helping women in business.
That's
like
awesome.
I love entrepreneurship, but then I started thinking about like weddings. I'm like, yeah, I love working with couples, and I love working with my families and like my attorney clients. But I felt so connected to like women wanting to grow their own businesses.
Right.
And I was like, I could be the one to help them grow their business with like professional, strategic, elevated brand photos that can help them stand out from the crowd on social media. You can charge more money and like look super professional and have images to go and build the website you've been like putting off, to go and create the content that you keep putting off.
Right.
And I just became obsessed, and I like went all in. I learned everything that I could, and I'm still learning every day. I consider myself to be like a student for life.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then slowly I started dropping some of the other genres of photography. I still shoot them because my clients have been with me, some of them since, you know, for 5 years. You know, I don't promote it as much. I don't share it, but they still come to me for things like that in different sessions. And I still shoot them, you know, sometimes I'll share them on social media, you know, but they say like only share when you want to keep shooting.
Right.
So I love personal branding. So that's kind of how I got started with like personal branding.
That's awesome. So when you help someone like a client with their personal brand, do you actually also provide them services in terms of like they're growing their social media, or like what else do you provide just besides taking their photos? Yeah.
So I actually don't right now provide, because there's like personal branding coaches out there that can actually help you grow your brand. I'm more so like I can help you grow your brand visually. Like I am the person that can provide the visuals for you. So a little bit of a backstory. I know I'm kind of jumping around, but I think as entrepreneurs, like we just like, it's a roller coaster. And as creative entrepreneurs, like you get really good at trying different things, and you find a way to create a service and you charge people for it. So we all know what happened in 2020. So 2020 was supposed to be my biggest year with weddings, and I thought that's what I wanted to do like full time. And even though I was doing branding, I was like, okay, this is like the money maker.
Right.
I'm just gonna be super honest. I was like, that's the money maker. Like we're gonna go all in. And then 2020 happened, and then I felt like I was like looking at all my numbers. I was like, I'm like in the red. Like everyone was like canceling their wedding. They wanted their non-refundable retainer back. And just, you know, it was just a mess. And I was like, oh my gosh. Like I think I was supposed to have 17 weddings in 2020. I had 2. In the fall, they went through with it, but those 2 weddings, my poor clients, I love them, but they ended up having very small, intimate weddings, and they were supposed to have these big, like bougie weddings. So I still shot 2 weddings that fall, but I was like, what else am I good at? And a friend of mine, I don't know if you've ever been in a mastermind, but I joined my first ever photographers mastermind in 2019. I met a bunch of photographers from different states, and so I had this friend. I say she's a friend because we were just friends first, but then I ended up working for her. She's like, you're really good at social media. Like, I hate it. It gives me anxiety and it's stressful. Like, you're so good at it. Can I just pay you to like do my social media? And, you know, this is like March 2020. I'm like, we were all sent home from work. Mind you, I was still working part-time at the district. I had like a clerical job. And I was like, well, I'm not shooting. Like, I'm not in the office. I'm like, everyone turned to online. And so she got super smart and created a course for like moms that wanted to learn photography.
Right.
And she had this huge year in 2020, and like her business grew so fast that she's like, I need help with social media. Like I'm teaching, I'm doing courses, I'm creating, coaching. I need someone to run like my socials. And she's like, I know you, like, you know, like you're so good at it. Like I trust you. Can I just pay you? She's in Louisiana. And like, yeah, sure. So then like I literally like just started managing all of her platforms. And then everyone in the mastermind that I was in found out. So then by like 2-3 months, like I had 5 clients. And I honestly didn't think anything of it. I was like, oh, I'll just do this on the side. Like I was really still trying to figure out photography. Am I really going to like shut down my business? Like we had no idea what was going to happen in 2020. There were so many unknowns. I knew I had my day job, but I knew that year I wanted to quit. But I was like, oh man, it's probably not going to happen this year because of the pandemic. And so, yeah, like I started doing social media management on the side, not thinking anything of it. I'm like, maybe I'll just do this like to kind of help me keep me afloat with photography until we figure out like what's happening. And so with that came, I ended up fully like launching an agency. I'm like, I'm gonna take it very serious. Started that business, and I became capped with clients. And so we couldn't take on any more clients. We started a wait list, and people just kept coming to us. Like we don't even have a website still. We do, but we never really like fully like used it for SEO purposes because everyone that was coming to us was from word of mouth referrals. Right. And I loved it. And so I'm like, well, I hired a business coach, and she's like, what you can do is to like start offering coaching and consulting. You know, like you're capped for management services. Like, why don't you offer coach? Like you love teaching people about social media. Like, why don't you there's so many people that need help with it. It comes so natural to you. Like, why don't you just do that? And so I hired a business coach, and so she taught me how to create like a program. And so I started, I think like mid 2020 and then 2021, I was offering coaching and consulting to like photographers and business owners. So at that time, I was actually working with a lot of photographers that are in different states. So they found me on Instagram. So I wasn't essentially taking their branding photos, but they were coming to me for social media like help. So I was coaching and consulting. It wasn't until mid last year that I started, because I had 2 separate accounts. Okay, so I had an account for like the coaching and like the management business, and then I had the photography account. I always kept them separate, and I never really like told this account like, hey, I have this account. I never told this account, hey, I have this. It was 2 separate brands. And eventually I was like, you know what? I'm kind of tired of like, I feel like I'm lying to my audience. And I told my photographer, like my photography account, like that audience that I've been growing since 2017. I was like, hey guys, I haven't really talked about this, but I kind of started on accident another business, and people were so excited. They're like, what? Like, we didn't know, like help me with social media. And so my branding clients, like I was actually taking their pictures. They're like, I still need help with social media. Like, you're amazing. I love your work. I need the pictures, but like, can you teach me how to use the pictures? So yes, last year in the summer, I did start like coaching and consulting them. So I'd offer what's called like an Instagram intensive. So I had it in one of my packages, and so they would hire me for branding photos. And then after they got their photos, we would do a 90-minute coaching call, and I would tell them, this is what you should do to grow your account. If you want to. A lot of my clients come to me because I primarily book from Instagram. I love Instagram. It's been my favorite app for the past decade. And so since I love it, I love teaching about it because it feels so easy to me. So the clients that come to me, they're like, they don't like Instagram, or they're like, they don't feel good at it. So it works out perfectly. So behind the scenes, I don't have a public offer, but if my clients are like emailing me, we're talking, even here at the session, they'll be like, hey, like, can you help me? I will offer them like a coaching or a consulting call. Moving into next year, I do want to have more like, I'm changing up my offers, and I do want to offer that again and be more public with it, because right now it's been more so like behind the scenes. If it's a conversation, if they ask me, I've had a few clients this year that we did do that. So we did like the branding photos, and then after the gallery was delivered, we did an intensive. So now they're like creating reels, they're using their photos, they're growing their accounts, and they're making more money, or they're like making more money, but they're booking more clients or getting more business from their account. And so I think it's like a beautiful like duo. It's like, I can take the pictures and I can tell them how to grow on social media. And
I think it's so important because, you know, my platform is really more towards like photographers and wedding photographers specifically. And I think there's still a lot of people that just don't take Instagram as seriously as other photographers. And I really feel like they're missing out on the opportunity to attract clients. And especially if you're struggling, not getting, you know, leads or even just referrals. I mean, people are still looking on Instagram, even though I feel like Instagram's kind of changing into like more of a short video format. But I still post like, you know, photos on there because people are still going to scroll through your feed and they want to see your photos, right? So, but I think if people are not active, like I always tell a lot of my like other photographer friends that don't post as often, I was like, you gotta at least post like maybe just once a day or just even a few times a week. Like if you don't post like even like like once a month, I'm like, you're missing out on the opportunity. People will still search on those hashtags and like locations. So since you're kind of like in that world, like what would you recommend to like any small like service business on maybe just a tip for them to kind of like to stay active on social media?
So even though I'm not shooting weddings, half of our clients at the agency are wedding photographers.
Right.
So some of my clients that I did coach last year, they're wedding photographers. So they don't even shoot branding. They still do weddings. And half of our management clients are wedding photographers. So it's still super important because we are seeing it with our clients. Like we're still generating leads for them from social media, and they are getting the most leads when they're posting reels. So we do a lot of reels for them. But to any business owner, here's the thing. You can market so many different ways. And I think after 10 years, I've kind of noticed, like, if you don't like social media, like, don't force yourself to like it. You don't have to be on social media. So we don't want negative Nancy's, because there's so many people out there that like are constantly complaining. And I'm like, why are you complaining? It's a free app. It's still free. If you don't like it, then you should go print your advertising and find different formats. Like go back to Google, maybe start a blog, focus on SEO. So I really like to cater to like the photographers who are like, you know what, I really want to make social media work. Like, so my advice really goes to like those people, because if you don't like it, I can't like make you like it, you know?
Right.
And so I feel like I always tell people, like, we're adults, you know, if you don't like it, you could find like a different way to market your business. So if you like social media and you want to get better at it, yes, you need to be consistent. Consistency is the name of the game. And so I don't think there's any rules when it comes to social media. Even though we have an agency and I follow other agencies and they post all these rules, like post 3 to 5 times a week. Some people are like, post 1 reel a day, you know, post on stories 7 days a week. I have always created a holistic approach, and that's what I like to teach. I always tell people, look at the season that you're in right now. Do you have kids? Do you have a newborn baby? Do you not have kids? Are you full-time in college? Are you working full-time and going to school full-time? You have to look at like the season that you're at in your life, and then match that with your business goals. What are your goals? Do you want to book 15 weddings, 20? Then you have to reverse engineer. Then it goes back to like, okay, how much time can I dedicate to creating content? A lot of people will look at things online, or they look at gurus or whatever, and they're like, so-and-so is posting 7 days a week. I've had moms come to me, I'm a mom, and they're like, they have a newborn, they have like 3 or 4 kids, they're working. I'm like, don't look at someone that's posting 7 days a week, because girlfriend, you have 4 kids and your life looks a lot different. You know, if you can't post 7 times a week, stop comparing yourself to someone that doesn't have kids and maybe has more time and spends more time creating content and posting and being on social media. So I've always told people, like, I feel like that's more of like a holistic approach. Like, it's based on your current lifestyle, like your goals, like where you actually want to go. Because a lot of us, like, you know, social media, it's like flashy, it's fun, and like it's addicting, and you look at things and you start to compare yourself. But it's like, why did you start your business in the first place? And what are your actual goals? Right. Are you happy with just 10 weddings a year? Great. That's amazing. Are you comparing yourself to someone that's booking 30 plus weddings? Their, you know, strategies and their business tasks are going to look a lot different. So that's something that I actually teach on, like when I'm coaching my clients, is to create like a game plan that you can stick to. Because I've been on social media since the app came out. Right. And yes, I have been burnt out before, but now I'm in it for the long game. So I don't complain when the app is like constantly changing things, like, you know, several apps. We just adapt. That's what entrepreneurs do. We adapt, we get better, we learn. And so for me, like, I look at my schedule, my goals, like where I want to go, and what can what am I trying to say? Like, what can I consistently do over a long period of time? Is it 3-4 times a week? Great. But then that's what I'm going to do. I'm not going to do 5 to 7 days a week, because that doesn't work for me long term. Right. Absolutely. I don't want to burn out. I don't want to work on the weekends, like things like that. So I always tell people, like, really just look at your life, your goals, your priorities, what do you value? Do you value your time? And then here's the thing too, when people are comparing themselves to other people, since I run an agency, like, their audiences don't even know that like we like are obviously doing management for them. So when you're comparing yourself to these people, sometimes like they probably have a team running their account for them. So like I said, half of our clients are wedding photographers. So if you're looking at other photographers here in the IE, like, you would never know who has a social media manager. So if that social media manager is posting for them 7 days a week, like, don't compare yourself to that person, you know? Yeah. If you have the funds to like hire someone to do your marketing, that's amazing. Like, go for it, you know? But if you're not there yet, like, you have to create a plan that feels good to you. and that you can like, I'd rather you be able to do something for 6 months than just a short term 90 days.
Right.
You know?
Right,
So
absolutely, yeah.
I've always like, I feel like I typically, I don't know, everyone's different, but I don't think you have to post every day. I like to look at, since I quit my job and I do this full time, I like to look at social media like Monday through Friday. Like it's part of my job and I just do it Monday through Friday. I post maybe 3 to 4 times a week on my feed, sometimes more if I'm feeling inspired, if my schedule allows for it energetically, because I don't just post to post either.
Right.
I think being very intentional with what you're posting goes a long way. You want to give your audience some room to miss you. I feel like if you're over posting, your audience becomes kind of numb and they don't really respond to your content. So if you're trying to like book things, like just be very mindful and don't just post to post.
Right.
If you're trying to book weddings, the same thing, like you want to cater to like the couples and the brides and just like always be providing value. So yeah,
that's awesome.
Those
Those are great tips. I mean, like, I think with social media, it's just, I think some people struggle with like the consistency and the instant gratification, right? Like they're looking at other photographers or they're looking at other businesses and like, how do they get to 10,000 followers or something? And how do they get like 100,000 views on that reel? And, you know, I think it's just everybody's in a different situation.
Yes.
They may have had their account for a long time, or they have someone behind the scenes just actually managing.
Or they had one viral reel.
Oh, one viral reel, yeah. Like hopefully, you know, that works out for all you guys. But sometimes it doesn't work out, right? He posts like reels and then he just doesn't. And so that's what you're going back to you is like, yeah, you get to stay consistent with social media.
And what I want to say is like, you know, I feel like I don't know how long you've been like marketing on Instagram, but like, I've had several accounts and even my photography account, I'm like, oh, like I'm only at like, and some people, I know you might think it's a lot, 4,000 followers, but I'm like, I've had the account since 2017. Like I should be at like 10K, 15K,
right.
you know, but I don't think like that. I'd rather be like booked and busy with actual clients than to have this big following. Like vanity metrics don't really pay the bills.
Exactly. Yeah, because I know some people that actually don't have a lot of a big following and they're very busy.
Yes.
Like when I first started, I didn't actually have a big following and I just got a lot of referrals, right? And a lot of my clients didn't have social media, so I couldn't really like even tag them on their posts. So what's your thoughts on like in terms of like, you know, since you do branding, right? So what, in your opinion, why is it so important to have a website, you think?
Gosh, so many, I feel like the website is like the cherry on top almost. And it really like solidifies your brand and it gives a place for the potential client to look at all the information. So look what you like, get to know you, like who you are as a photographer, as a business owner, what you offer, what it's like to work with you. Like if you share testimonials, if you have a blog, like again, sharing value. And having a website, you know, helps you attract people that are on Google. Like you said, like there's a lot of people still that are not on social media and they're like essentially like qualified leads. Like they're like potential, like they're ready to book with you for your service. And they're just like busy professionals and they're like, I don't really need social media, but I'm on Google searching for a wedding photographer, branding photographer. And so it's important to have like SEO set up. And I do think it's important to like, you know, have the website. I will say, I feel like I'm going to go a little bit against the grain because over the years, like my websites haven't been like 100% like amazing.
Right.
Because a lot of my clients like find me on social media or like, you know, I've had the website and then they're still asking you questions and you're like, it's on the website. Or or they DM you and like, they don't even use the contact form. So I do think it's important to have it, but don't let that stop you. Like if you, you know, haven't had the time to like really, complete like a template or if you haven't hired a web designer, don't let that stop you. You know, like still go out there and like create your content, attract people to you, create a great client experience so people can send you referrals. And sometimes those referrals, you know, even when I had like an amazing wedding website, like they would email me. They wouldn't even like look at like my website. They're like, can you send me a gallery? And then like, boom, like, you know, a few emails. I'm like, okay, maybe we'll get on a call if they wanted to. And then they would book me because they came from a referral. Right. Yeah. So I do think it's really important for branding and it does like, it's like the cherry on top and I feel like if you've never had one, and then like when you recently got one, like you feel like badass, right? You're like, oh, this is my website.
Yeah, absolutely.
You're like, here's my website, or like,
here's my business card.
Yeah, here's my business card. So yeah, it's like a digital business card too, having a website.
Oh, absolutely. I think it also depends on your industry.
Yes.
Like for photographers, you know, you could probably get away with just having social media because I mean, you can.
Because it's a visual platform.
Visual platform with a website. Maybe if you're like, you know, like a plumber or something or some other where you know, you actually have like a landing page on Google, like a business page. Maybe it's better that way. So let me ask you my next question leading up to this is like, in terms of like putting everything together, right? As that, because my platform is really helping other photographers and helping other small businesses grow their business. What would be like your primary strategy? Like, let's say I'm starting at a brand new, you know, like a hairstylist business, right? What would be your strategy? Would you start on Instagram or would you start on like Facebook? Like what was your number one advice for someone that's starting out?
I would say if you're like a Gen Zer or like a millennial, that's a mouthful. Social media, if you enjoy it, like if you like it, if it stresses you out, you know, I don't know. I feel like it's different. Like you're going to have to do like door-to-door business, like do more like physical things, go out into the world and like talk to people, get your business name out there. But if you've been on social media for fun, like put your business hat on and like get serious on social media. A lot of people think like every year I see the same thing. People think like, oh, last year was a year to get like really big. It's like, no, like I've been doing this for like 10 plus years, like the social media game. And every year is like the best time like to get started. Like I just feel like, I mean, even now, like I started like the studio Instagram account, it's like a baby account, but it's growing. Like our next goal is to hit 1,000. We're at 600. We just started it like 6 months ago and it's all been like organic. And like, I'm literally just putting in the work, like creating content. So my advice to you would be like, again, like if you enjoy social media and you want to like take a course, you know, hire a mentor or like help YouTube has so many free, amazing, like just videos on like tips and tricks that you can, you know, try for your account. But just start getting active, show up for your audience, give them value, and, you know, give your audience like why should they hire you? You know, why should they book with you out of everyone else? Right. So like find what's unique about you, create content around that, and create a game plan and just be consistent. You know, it's so hard when we see people that post really like every day or like Monday through Friday for like 2 months and then they fall off the face of the earth. And you're like, what happened? Are they still in business? So find something that you can do consistently so that you don't burn out, because a lot of people burn out and then they don't even want to open their app and like advertise. Like if you don't show up for your business, like no one's going to do it for you. Right. So like put your business hat on and find a plan that you can stick to that won't like make you essentially burn out or hate social media. Find a way to make it fun for yourself and then just be consistent with it.
Yeah, that's great advice. It's like, because I used to be a personal trainer, so I always like put into like that perspective, like, okay, like you gotta, to stay consistent, you gotta be in the gym, right? It's like you're not gonna gain or make gains or lose weight in one session of a workout.
Same thing with business.
you gotta show up every, you know, whether it's 2 times a week, 3 times a week. So all right, let's get into like some flash questions for you. I like to ask these questions because it kind of like opens up people's personality a little bit more, I think. So this is the first question. Okay. So if money wasn't an issue, like let's say you were a billionaire, for example, or even a millionaire, right? And you
I would stop working. I would not lift a finger anymore.
That's all I was going to get to. So like, what would your day-to-day look like? Would you still have the loft? Would you still do branding sessions? Like what would your day look like?
That is so hard because you know, obviously I've never had that amount of money, but I would like to say, I think I would get bored. You know, I'm still pretty young. Like I just turned 30. Like what am I going to do? Like travel like full time? No, like you know, the kids have to be in schools. Like I would for sure, like if money was not an option, like I think about my parents. So my parents are immigrants. They came from Mexico. I would pay off their house. Like I would pay buy a new house for us, cash. Like if money wasn't, you know, an issue, and I would take a 1-year sabbatical. I feel like I've been hustling since I was 18. And I've taken breaks over the past few years. I've gotten better. Like in my late 20s, I learned more about self-care and like, it's okay if you don't respond to that email, like respect your business hours. Like, you know, like your business is not going to like die. So, but I've never taken more than like 2 weeks off unless like gosh, we got sick in July for the first time ever. We had the C word. And I had to take the whole month of July off only because I was forced to.
Right.
But I'm like, wow, I've never taken this much time off. Because I love working too, but like I feel like if you don't have a big team, like you got to do everything yourself, right? You wear many hats in your business. I would take a 1 year sabbatical. We would travel, but I would literally just like not work and like not think about business and like maybe just focus more on like being a mom, like a present mom, creating memories with the kids, donating back to our church. Like the biggest thing is like probably just not work for like a year. After that, maybe I would like, you know, I can't even think of like a passion project that I would do right now, but I know I would probably do something to give back to the community. I don't think I'd sit around on my bed. Like I'd probably get bored. So I think I would probably be able to like start more businesses and like have like fund the businesses. And like, I think it's so cool. People that are wealthy that create jobs for other people. Like that's amazing. Like if you can like create like full-time jobs for people with like benefits, like I feel like you've made it.
That's awesome. That's great. Okay, so my next question is, since I mean you're a very busy woman here, managing multiple businesses. So like, how do you, in terms of self-care, like what do you do to relax? What do you go on vacation from time to time? Like, what's your kind of like getaway from the business?
So part of my boundaries is like I try not to work after 5 p.m. I've had people that want to like shoot late and I'm like, I did that my first 2-3 years. Like I'm kind of done with evening sessions. Like I don't want to do that anymore. And that's the beautiful thing about branding is like I work with business owners. And so they have flexibility Monday through Friday. So essentially I created another full-time job for myself where I work normal business hours. So part of my self-care is not working on the weekends. Like I will shoot some Saturdays. Like I have like this Saturday, I have Christmas minis because it's my first time having the studio. My families were like, can we come to your studio? And like, I don't want to say no to them. And I know like weekends are easier for families because of kids. Like I'm a mom. I'll probably work a handful of Saturdays throughout the year. Not like I used to with weddings and stuff like that. I used to work like Friday, Saturday, Sunday with like triple header sometimes. So that's like a boundary for me. Is like not working weekends, not working nights. And we love traveling. We do like locally. We haven't really been anywhere like internationally with the kids. But we love taking trips. We're actually going down to Southern Utah again next weekend. It'll be like our 4th time in Utah. We love, love, love Utah. Like,
what do you love
We're going
about
back to Zion.
Oh, Zion.
Have you been to Zion?
Yes,
okay.
I have. Yeah.
So we went to Zion for the first time last year. We have family in Northern Utah, but Southern Utah and Northern Utah is like so different, but we love Southern Utah. Like the real estate there is like amazing. It's like a dream. So I don't know, something about Utah really relaxes me. Like I've had clients tell me, they're like, just move there already. I'm like, not I want to move there full time, but I don't know. It's just very different than California. And so yeah, we try to take quarterly mini trips. Even if it's like 3 or 4 days, we work really hard to make that a priority, like saving for that and blocking it off on our calendar. My parents also recently got a trailer. And so we like to go on little like, off-roading camping trips. So I feel like honestly, the past 2 years, I've gotten more serious about like, like the business will always be there, but like we need to go and create the memories and make space in my calendar. So like blocking things off. Like I used to see people do that. I'm like, how do they do that? And it's like literally like turning away clients and saying, I'm not available for those days, or I'm not available to like work those days. And just literally blocking it off on your calendar saying, I can't work those days. Like I'm going to close the studio, like whatever it has to be. Like, so for me, it's like, again, being intentional in the evenings, no weekends. Like I don't even post on the weekends. I recharge on the weekends. I come back Monday, every Monday. I love Mondays. And I'm like on social media and I'm like energetic, and people are attracted to that. Like energy is everything, especially on social media. So like, I'm so intentional. Like if I take just 2 days off, like nothing happens. I come back, my engagement's actually higher because I took some days off, and people are like, where you been? Like, what'd you do this weekend? So that's part of like my self-care, like I guess routine. I try to pamper myself here and there. It's a little bit harder as a mom, but I do try to take care of myself. I do love working out. So I try to get in like a 6 a.m. workout before like my entire day starts. So I recently just started going to the gym. So even though I was a Beachbody coach for the past 7 years, I've been working at home. I have a Peloton. So I gifted myself a Peloton in 2020.
That's tough.
And I love it. It's so fun. It's amazing. It's fast, like 30, 40 minutes. I don't have to leave my house. I can do it in the morning, at night. My kids come in. They're like talking to me. So I love working out at home because like I don't have to leave.
Right.
But one of my Gabby, my studio assistant, we were friends first, but she like encouraged me to get.
Garcia?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So,
okay. Shout out to Gabby.
She's gonna watch this. She recently encouraged me to like go to the gym with her.
Nice.
And I've had to kind of move my schedule around because I'm like, we go at 9 a.m., like 9:30, and I'm like working at that time. So now I get up even earlier. I work for 2-3 hours, and then we go we started lifting heavy. Like she lifts really heavy. She's really strong, and so I needed that because I love cardio and I do lift at home, but I don't have all the really cool machines and the barbell and all that stuff. So she's like helping me. And so I'm like lifting really heavy now. And I literally just started like a month and a half ago. So, here's the thing, as business owners, like I've been there where like you put your health on the back burner and you're just like eating out, like then you're lethargic and you're like overworking yourself. You're not sleeping, you're editing at night, like super late, like you just have no boundaries. And then like, it's just so important to take care of yourself.
Absolutely.
And so like build a routine where you're like taking care of your health, your mental health, taking breaks from social media, like not just like mindlessly scrolling. Like if you're on social media, like do what you got to do your engagement, post, talk to some people, answer to DMs, and then get off, and it's so funny for my coaching clients. I would actually tell them, if you want to scroll, because I love doing that.
Right.
I love, if you want to set a timer, allow yourself to, consume 20-30 minutes of content if you want on TikTok for fun or whatever, and then get off the platform. Don't like sit there for like 4 hours. It's really bad for your mental health. And take care of yourself, get outside, go for walks, do what you like in terms of like exercise. I think if you like listen to entrepreneurs, like other big business owners that have like books and podcasts and all that, they all talk about like having some sort of routine. It doesn't matter if it's in the morning, in the midday or evening, but like taking care of yourself first so then you can go and be a really good business owner and have the mental clarity that you need and the energy to like run a business. So yeah, that's what I have to say about that.
That's awesome. No, I totally agree with you. I think, because I work out this morning too. That's just, I'm an early riser. So I usually work out in the morning, do some cardio. And I think people that starting a business, like, you get kind of overwhelmed in the beginning, but once you find like that routine, and it doesn't have to be like, sometimes I work out at night. It just depends on, especially I think as
what's going on, right? Yeah.
Especially with wedding photographers, sometimes our schedule's all over the place, right? Sometimes I stay up late because I don't get home until midnight. Yeah. But that doesn't give you in my opinion, doesn't give you the right to just not slack off, because I think as a wedding photographer, you got to stay healthy.
Yes.
Like, if you're tired and not getting enough sleep, it kind of really ruins your day, the work week or your editing, your productivity, right?
Yes.
Because there's so much things we still have to do after the wedding, right? You still got to edit.
I feel like all the work is like after the wedding.
Yeah, that's mostly what we do.
Yeah.
sit on the computer. But, so my last question is, so like what destination would you love to go maybe in the next few years, like like internationally, not Europe. Well,
yes.
Do you have anything specific?
All of Europe, really. Like, and honestly, if we could, like, we would like travel for like a month or two, and just see as much as we can, like Spain.
Spain's
there's
awesome.
just all the Europe countries that we can like fit in. Yeah, for sure, Europe. I don't know.
Like nothing specific stands up for you?
No, nothing specific. I know for sure, like, probably Paris and Spain. Paris and Spain for sure.
Yeah, my brother just came back from, I think he went to like 3 countries, I think.
Oh, wow.
I think he went to, definitely went to France. You're familiar with the Louvre?
Yes, I've heard of it.
So he went there. He went to the Eiffel Tower. I'm like, oh my God, these places going. He sends me photos. It's amazing. So I think that's kind of on my bucket list too, because I've never been to Europe, but my brother and sisters have been to Europe. I'm like, oh my God, you guys are killing me over here.
I feel like, so Europe, if I can pick 2, it would be Europe and Bora Bora.
Ooh.
So I love like tropical destinations, but I also like Europe just seems like a dream to like just like anywhere in Europe. So like 1 year it would be Bora Bora, not a month, probably just like a week, like 5-7 days, and like really relax and do like all the water activities, and then Europe.
That's
and
awesome.
Do all the walking and eating in Europe.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
Yeah.
And I guess my last question is like, in terms of, because again, my platform is really about like small business and wedding photographers. What's one piece of advice, since you've been in business for so long now, like that can really help someone that's looking into maybe getting to branding or opening up their own studio? Like, what would be like your number one piece of advice for anybody?
For branding or opening up a studio?
Yeah, or just start. Let's
starting a business.
Yeah, let's start a business specifically, like starting a business.
Gosh, I feel like there's so much I can say.
I know.
I'm
Just
like,
one tip.
you send me questions to prepare, and I'm like, man, these are really good questions. And I just started thinking, like, man, like it's cool to look back and be like, you did it, Jackie. Like, you finally like made it. Don't give up. Like people like within the first 6 months, 3 months, like a year, like. They're like, stuff gets hard. And I think if you have the expectation that you're going to be on a super wild roller coaster, you might see success right away. You might not. But like, you have to ask yourself every day, how bad do I really want this? Like, if you're wanting to be a full-time business owner, whether it's a wedding photographer or, a photographer in general, or just a creative business owner or studio owner, how bad do you want this? Like, do you like love your full-time job? If you don't, you probably don't, because you want to be full-time business owner. Like, how bad do you want to have the flexibility to call the shots?
Right.
And so you have to be willing to fight for that dream every day, and life is going to get hard. If I could go back, like, honestly, like, I would teach myself business finances, how to manage my money as a business owner, and, financial literacy, just like in the business world, like taxes and like how to run a profitable business, like from the beginning. And while, mastering my craft, with the service that I'm offering and like wanting to learn social media. But I feel like a lot of people sometimes don't take the business side serious.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And we kind of run after like the flashy things, and like, I just want to be big on social media. And it's like, well, like, I'd rather be like profitable and like, not really, if I have only 1,000 followers, but if I'm like full time and I'm profitable, I'm super happy with that.
Yeah.
So just like, don't give up, and don't be afraid to invest in your business. Like, here's the thing. I didn't have money to invest in my business. I went and put things on credit cards and I paid them off. I put some skin in the game, and I literally I taught myself stuff really fast, and I said, I didn't mention this, but I'm actually a college dropout. So I dropped out of college, and I said, my self-education and business education is going to be like my college education. So I'm going to, people go get big loans to go to college. So like, they're so afraid to do that for their business. And I'm like, why? It's kind of the same thing. Like, you're not going to get paid in your career until after you're done with school. It's kind of the same thing with business. Like, it takes money to make money. So I invested in my business, having that skin in the game, knowing that I had something on a credit card, I went out there. I was like, I'm going to make this money to pay it back. So I had that skin in the game. I had the motivation and the desire. And so that's how I got started with business. So like, when I dropped out of college, and I was actually in school to be a nurse. And so I didn't mention that, but I just feel like so much has happened the past 10 years. And I said, I knew I wanted to be a business owner. So my dad's actually a business owner, and we have like business owners, his mechanic and stuff. I knew since I was little, like, I want to be a business owner. Like, I don't like anyone telling me what to do. So I always struggled at my day jobs. Like, I was always so grateful for my jobs, working for the school district. Like, it was a great opportunity. And, like, I made great money there, like, compared to like other jobs. Like, I used to work at Buffalo Wild Wings, Applebee's, like, those were like my first jobs. So when I got like my first like fancy like office job, I was like, I'm making good money. Like, this is like amazing. I worked at a school. So again, Monday through Friday, no evenings, no weekends,
yep.
Paid holidays, like all the things. But I was like, I'm just not meant to be here. I knew I was like meant to be like this free bird, like that does like, a bunch of like multi-passionate like entrepreneur, right? And so I was like, that was like always like my dream and the goal. And so like, I fought for that. So, when I got started, I didn't have money, and, I was like, well, it's like, I guess I'm kind of jumping around, but like no problem. So I was in school to be a nurse, and I was like, I don't want to do this. So I'm like, why am I paying for like these classes? Like, I don't want to do this. So I dropped out. And so instead of paying for like the school, I'm like, well, I'm going to pay for my self-education. Like, how can I be a better photographer? How can I be a better business owner? So I have hired multiple coaches, joined masterminds that are thousands of dollars, and I've literally made back all that money in double.
That's awesome.
And so it's scary in the beginning, but honestly, once you do it, it gets addicting, and you have to be very careful like what you're investing in, because I've been there. Like, you buy all the things, all the courses, but are you actually like implementing like what you're, learning? But in the beginning, it's scary. So don't be afraid to invest in yourself and in your business, especially if you're like, I don't know, maybe you're a college graduate, maybe you're not, but if you're not investing anymore in that, invest in your business.
Yeah,
you know,
absolutely.
like it's going to pay you back. Like if you're putting in the work, your business is going to pay you back and it's going to take care of you. So that's like my biggest advice is like, you know, don't give up too soon. Have the expectation that it's not going to be easy. It's probably going to be really hard.
Right.
Because if it was very easy, we'd all be like 6-figure business owners,
Right.
but not everyone is,
Exactly.
right? People give up. So don't give up, find a mentor or find education courses, Google everything. I went to Google University. I still Google things like as a mom, like, is my kid okay? Like, why are they doing this? Like, I still love Google, but I still like to pay for things. Like I'm a big advocate for hiring coaches and courses and things like that. So yeah.
And that's so awesome. I totally agree with what she said, because I think in my personal like experience, like I bought courses myself, you know, because I think the biggest hurdle in the beginning is like learning as fast as you can.
Yes.
Once you start learning and grasping the knowledge, especially in photography, then you can start like increasing your prices. You know, you can make more of like a premium brand,
Yes.
right? But if you're not like expanding your knowledge and like your expertise,
Yes.
then you're kind of stuck in that level, you know?
That's true.
And even today, I'm still learning other techniques and different things. So like continuing education is like never,
It's never ending.
right? And that's great advice, even on like social media and also on business side. Because I think a lot of photographers, they kind of like slack on the business side,
Yes.
you know, not learning taxes or not learning like even like just, you know, networking or, you know, even updating a website. I mean, there's a lot of things on the admin side
Yes.
that they don't really learn about their business, like the P&L, like stuff like that. But yeah, great advice. I think we'll wrap it up here.
Yes.
So where can people find you?
Yes, so I'm all online. So the studio account, if you guys want to follow the studio account, it's _ the Creative Loft. And then my photography account, it's Jackie Ceja Photography. So it's JACKIE CEJA Photography. So those are my two business accounts where you guys can find me if you want to find me as a photographer, or if like you're interested in renting the studio, or if you wanted just to kind of check out the studio. That one's _ the Creative Loft.
Awesome.
And you'll see them like I'm linked on both of them. So if you find the studio one, if in the bio I have my photography account, my photography account has the studio one linked in the bio as well. So if you find one, you'll find both.
Awesome. And we'll link all of that Instagram links
Yes.
on the description of this podcast and also on YouTube. So make sure you follow her on Instagram and also follow me on YouTube. So-
Yes. Well, thank you guys for having me.
You're welcome. All right, guys. Until next time. Bye.
Bye.
Peace.